Members of the South African Parliament have voted to reject a move to begin impeachment proceedings against President Cyril Ramaphosa. The president was accused of covering up the theft of a large sum of foreign currency from his farm in 2020, some of which had been hidden in a sofa. The debate before the vote focused on an independent report which concluded that he may have violated the constitution. Mr. Ramaphosa, who is up for re-election as ANC leader, denies any wrongdoing. The African National Congress, that's the ANC, told its MPs to block a possible impeachment, although 4 members broke ranks and sided with opposition parties to accept the report and let impeachment proceedings commence.
We have the results. Yes, those who have voted yes, 148. And those who have voted no, 214. Abstain, hold on, honorable members. Abstention 2. And therefore, the Section 891 inquiry will therefore not be proceeded with. I thank you, honorable members. That concludes the business of the day, and the House is adjourned.
He's presiding over a party that has got no regard for the constitution of the Republic of South Africa. We were not saying the president is guilty today. We're saying let's give the president an opportunity to give an account to the people of South Africa. He said no himself, his party said no. So they've got no regard for the constitution of the Republic.
The wrong side of the issue today was to slavishly defend the president from any form of accountability. And I think the ANC have made a terrible blunder today, and it's going to follow them all the way into 2024. Just as Nkandla was a rotting corpse on the back of Jacob Zuma, so too is Phala Phala going to be a rotting corpse on the back of President Ramaphosa going into the 2024, facing a far more united opposition.
Let's allow the process of investigation to unfold. If by any chance there is a different outcome that the court gives, that the law enforcement gives, then there's nothing that stops us from coming back here and discuss the matter.
Farai Muvuti is a senior analyst of Southern African Times, and he joins us now to have a quick word about the Ramaphosa impeachment situation. Good day, Farai, and welcome to Newsday. Now, let's talk about what seems like a growing crisis within the ANC. You have the absence of Lindiwe Sisulu, Zweli Mkhize, former Minister of Health, who's also contesting for the ANC presidency. And then, of course, you've got Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, who is leading an opposition within the ANC. With just a few days to go until NASREC, what is the fate of the ANC?
Well, thank you for having me. I think yesterday demonstrated that the ANC had rallied behind its initial resolution after their National Executive Committee meeting, which suggested to the MPs that they are to vote along party lines. And that was evident. But what we do see also is a small division within the ANC, which differed with the actual resolution. So you have Nkosazana Zuma, who's also vying for presidency, who voted against the motion, or rather for the motion, voting clearly against the party line. And you had 2 other members vote alongside that particular section, which of course was in favor of the resolution to be taken forward, which is the Section 89 panel report. However, this politically, that is, when you look at it from a political perspective, it clears the way for Ramaphosa to go to this particular election on Friday in his own party to pave way for his second presidency. So in terms of what the role strategically, I suppose what they looked at was we need clarity before we go to a conference, so that in as far as the discussion from an impeachment perspective is concerned, he would have been troubled perhaps if he went to his conference, electoral conference that is, with a parliamentary outcome that started the process of impeachment. So it would have been self-defeating. However, this clears the pathway for him. Now, what we're going to see, perhaps, are two processes under play. Whatever the outcome is of the electoral conference, which it looks quite clear that he will win based on his nominations. But also, from a legal standpoint, the court will be faced with two decisions to make. Because Parliament is sovereign, and it has already made a decision on the particular report to not uphold it, courts may be in a sticky situation here. The Constitutional Court may order the case either to be mute, because they may suggest that there is no legal challenge to make, considering that the Parliament has made a decision on this. Or they may say that it should go to a lower court in the interest of jurisprudence. But that is yet to be seen.
Okay, thank you, Farai. I hope you can still hear me.
I can hear you clearly.
Great, thank you. Now, according to the leader of the largest opposition party, that's the Democratic Alliance, the ANC cannot be allowed to use the tyranny of their majority to protect a president from scrutiny. That's already happened. I'm just wondering what kind of action we're going to see from parties like this. Are we going to see action, or is it going to continue to be talk on their part?
Well, historically, the opposition party, and you are right. I mean, when they say that, a political party cannot use the tyranny of its numbers, yet politics is all about numbers in Parliament. It's a self-defeating statement. But however, their counteraction may be to go to the court and to make the case that perhaps, Parliament has crippled itself in this particular instance, and they may want the courts to make a decision in terms of how Parliament is acting. But remember, Parliament is still sovereign in the sense it's one of the structures of government in a democratic theoretic system. So you might they may not have a winning argument here. However, the court in the past has ruled in favor of the opposition in as far as impeachment proceedings are concerned, as we saw with Zuma. In this instance, it is yet to be seen if that is still going to be the case. But the opposition here has very limited wiggle room because of their limited numbers.
Absolutely. And now, putting the Constitutional Court aside, Cyril Ramaphosa still has to answer to the South African Reserve Bank, the South African Revenue Service as well. When are we going to see all of this playing out? Because it seems that, the organizations, or rather the structures that he has full control over without getting himself entangled in more scandal, has been able to sort of sail through those processes. Are these state agencies, going to jump into the situation anytime soon?
Well, the current investigations that are going on are investigations that include the Public Protector, which is a Chapter 9 within the Constitution institution, which it has the sole right to hold the executive to account. Now, depending on the findings of that particular institution, which is the Public Protector, the issue, in as far as what the Reserve Bank finds, or what the Hawks, who are a local South African investigating agency, similar to the police, if you will, they are great. Once they make their findings, they'll be presented. And once they're presented, the Public Protector will have to register her findings in public, and those will go to Parliament, and maybe that may restart the conversation of whether the president was found to be, to have performed in a manner that betrayed the trust of the Constitution that is meant to uphold. Once these institutions have made these findings, depending on the outcome, we will begin to see perhaps another process of impeachment. But I think what is quite clear here is that even if there are findings in that particular regard, if the president is able to secure his vote within the ANC, those particular findings will have to now go into through the same process of the party taking a position. Now, I don't think in any rationality that a party that wants to conserve power would impeach their president post a party conference. It would be unheard of. What we may see is the issue drag on for another 2 years, perhaps, until further on towards the end of his term, and perhaps maybe then it'll be mature enough from a legal standpoint and also a parliamentary standpoint to then perhaps see the president leave. But so far, from an analytical standpoint, I don't think that these findings will actually get the president out of office. If anything, he will be able to secure his second term, with the support of his party, depending, of course, on the outcome of the conference, which begins this weekend on Friday, and next week we'll clearly know if he has the support of his party. The ANC historically is quite surprising, you see, because when you go to conference, in as much as you may have a lot of nominations, there may be nominations that come from the floor. And in the past, the Vice President D.D. Mabuza, for instance, he had no nominations, but he ended up becoming the Vice President. We might see, because of the internal divisions of the ANC, a slight shift. As long as he's able to secure that and overcome the internal political challenges within his party, the impeachment proceedings aspect will still require a numbers. It's still a numbers game. If he secures the party and he goes in for a second term, if the impeachment processes begin, his numbers will work to his advantage.
Thank you, Farai. Now, for the 4 ANC MPs who actually voted in favor of the Pala report being adopted, based on the fact that they went against the flow, do you have any predictions of consequences that we might see for them in the near future or in the long run?
I think it'll be a knee-jerk reaction for the ANC to act against those MPs, considering the fact that there is no actual law that denies them to actually vote against the party. They cannot be seen to be having put the party to disrepute. They simply represented the interests of their constituencies in this particular context. So because there's no legal actual standing for anyone to be purged, what you might find is that perhaps in the next term, if President Ramaphosa is able to secure a second term, you might find that those MPs will not have government jobs as a consequence of being seen to be disloyal to the presidency. But apart from that, I do not see any heavy punishment coming. Also, it would be unwise for the ANC to act in such a manner because it will further divide the party, a party that is already fractured. And you don't want, and they know, the ANC, that when it comes to 2024 elections, they need to regroup. They need to be united. And that cannot happen if they continue to purge members or continue to introduce resolutions that further limit high-performing members of their party. So if they are to do so, it will harm their electoral outcomes in terms of 2024. Currently, we are projecting that, at the Southern African Times, looking at our surveys, we're projecting that the ANC will possibly get 50+1. Literally just getting over the mark of 50% constitutional requirement, which basing it on their last election, they did about 55%. If that further eats into their margin, they will end up having to rule in a coalition, and I don't think it's something the ANC is willing to accept. So, if they are to get a good vote, then powerful figures such as Dlamini Zuma have to be able to be accepted in terms of their independent conscience approach as far as the manner in which they vote. So, it's something I don't predict. I don't see the MPs being purged, but if they are, it'll be seriously unwise for the ANC considering its current fractured state, especially as you're going to an election.
All right, Farai Muvuti, Senior Analyst, Southern African Times, thank you so much for your insight on this issue, and we hope to hear more from you.